Hi, my name is Wizz Selvey. I have a consultancy business for beauty brands and retailers. I've spent 15 years working in the industry. The majority of my career was at Selfridges. I was head of beauty buying. I now work with a number of beauty brands, small and large. I really believe that the cross-pollination of learning from small brands to large corporates is a really great way to kind of fuel my knowledge to help brands of all shapes and sizes. The beauty market trends are ever-changing and really diverse in beauty. I think what we've seen over the last 3 to 5 years is a real shift from the large corporate brands are losing market share to some of the small brands, which is hugely exciting. I think it gives a great opportunity for all the small emerging brands to come through and give something new and exciting to customers. So it's making sure that we're constantly evolving what's happening in the industry. There's lots of different products that are always in demand. I mean, makeup, skincare, fragrance, it's ever-changing. Makeup has had a huge surge over the past few years, but skincare is now the fastest growing category. There's lots of different trends within skincare. We can see the rise of naturals. If you think about how the food industry has changed over the last 5 to 10 years, the same thing is happening with skincare. Lots of people want to be eating much more healthily, and people are also now taking care of what ingredients are in their skincare. There's a lot of trends around doctor-led brands as well, as people really want high-performance brands. So within each category, there's lots of subcategories and trends as well. But what is really key is, I think, transparency across all beauty products, whether that's makeup, skincare or fragrance. People really want to know what's in their products. Is it sustainable? Where has it come from? What is the brand story? So there's lots of opportunity for you to be talking about your brand DNA and creating a story for your customers. I think the UK and the US is at the forefront of the beauty industry. So you have to be really kind of ahead of the game and up on your market research, see what's happening in different areas, and do have considerations for different trends in different markets. Certainly, again, around ingredients, around different skin types. You see different things happening in Asia to the UK, to the Middle East. For example, fragrance is a huge market in the Middle East, whereas in Asia it is really very small. And that's to do with a lot of cultural trends as well. You see much more diversity in places like the UK, particularly London. You have quite an international customer, so there is the opportunity to try with different retailers, different products in different categories as well. So the question I get asked the most is how to pitch to a buyer. Having been in one of the best department stores in the world, working as a buyer and also a head of buying, constantly I get asked this question. Lots of brands are always contacting buyers, and I certainly know that brands get very frustrated that they don't always hear back from the buyers. The buyer's role is quite demanding. They look after usually between 50 to 200 brands, so that takes up a lot of time. As a result, they are very tied up meeting their existing brands. It's kind of no excuse really, but it's just to try and paint a picture of what I suppose a life in the day of the buyer is. My advice when trying to pitch to buyers is to really focus on what is your USP, what is your point of difference, how do you compare to what other products they have in their portfolio. Buyers are always looking for something that is different to what they already have. If you feel your brand is similar to something that's already there, you need to really make a point of explaining to the buyer and trying to get cut through about why it's different. I would also encourage brands to really focus on your customer engagement, your press, your social media, because if a buyer is seeing your brand in lots of different publications, on different websites, with different bloggers, they will start to see that there's a trend and that brand should be performing well in the market. There seems to be lots of customer interest. From this point of view, you're investing time in building your brand and awareness, as well as pitching towards a buyer. I often see lots of brands that get really hung up on having not heard back from a buyer, which they find quite upsetting and challenging. But I think if you're channeling your energy into building your own brand as well, and do things at the same time, I think there's an opportunity for buyers to notice you in the market. There's lots of different ways of getting your brand into a retailer. You can work with distributors or agents, or you can go directly. I don't think there's one way that's better than the other. I think it's up to you to decide. Also do your research, decide what you can afford with different margins. I think when you're working with large department stores or retailers or chains, The best way, ideally, is to go direct. They often have higher margin expectations, so you may not be able to afford to go to a distributor or an agent. If you want to work with lots of small independent shops, then I think it's more preferable to work with a distributor or an agent. Sometimes there's a hybrid model where you work with both, because a distributor and an agent can give you a lot of different advice and understand how the retailer works, which can often be one of the challenges when you're starting out. So I think it's a different approach for different brands.